All right. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Virtu-Well Connections. I'm Callie Butler, the communication specialist for WellStone. So today we're going to be talking about something that is on a lot of our minds, and that's our kids returning to school for the fall semester, whether that is virtually or if that's face-to-face again. I have the pleasure today to talk with two Huntsville school-based therapists on that transition and a little bit more about our school-based therapy program in general. So regardless of how your child is returning to school, it's a nerve-wracking time for everyone involved because it's a brand new start that none of us have really experienced before from the very beginning. So whether that's your kids and students returning to the classroom, the physical classroom with masks on, or if that is having this digital classroom setting, that's never been done before from the start. So I'm excited to be speaking with the experts today, and I'll go ahead and let Caroline and Taylor introduce themselves and we can go from there.
Okay, I'm Caroline Elliott. I'm a school-based therapist at Whitesburg P through 8, and I'm an associate licensed marriage and family therapist. I like doing a lot of the work with kids and parents, so yeah.
All right, and I'm Taylor Anders. I am a school-based therapist here. Actually graduated from UNA in December, so I joined WellStone not long after that, and so I look forward to continuing to learn and grow here.
Great, and thank y'all so much for being here this morning and taking time out of y'all's busy schedules as summer program is winding down and you're getting ready to go back full speed next week. So we'll just go ahead and get right into it. So since I guess March, April, what are some struggles that y'all have seen from students since transitioning to virtual environment?
I'll kind of start, I guess. The biggest thing I've noticed is just sleep across the board with almost every kid that I've spoken with. Just their sleep routines are really off. They're sleeping at odd hours, like sleeping all day and then staying up all night, gaming or something like that. So I think that's been a big struggle, and transitioning back into a regular sleep routine is going to be a big thing for a lot of them.
Yeah, sleep was one thing that I noticed as well. Sleep and then just routines in general. There was really no kind of routine. We were constantly in changes and we didn't really know what was going to happen next, and we still don't either. So I think that's something that was really hard. And then we went from being in school to going that virtual process that we had never even thought about. So just getting kids to do their schoolwork and then trying to find like how to do these things and just transition. So I think that those things are still going to be very difficult as we begin, this new school year.
Yeah, and parents too, kind of like wanting to be present and wanting to be there to help their kid, but then there's that struggle of I have to work, and I can't be there to supervise and make sure my kid is doing their work. So it's putting this added responsibility on kids of owning up and taking a lot of accountability for their schoolwork too.
Yeah. So you both said that sleep was a major trend that both of you have seen throughout this and that schedule. So what are some strategies that y'all would give to kind of help with that routine?
Just, going with any routine in general, setting some habits each day or setting some moments, like incorporating something into each of these routines that they make that is like time for bonding or time for connection or something they can look forward to. So the routine is not just structured, but it's also enjoyable. There's something about it that they like about their routine.
And there's no specific way. Each of us have our own particular way that we're going to enjoy structure or, what works for that individual person. No family is going to have the same exact structure, and that's okay. And I think that's an important thing for people to know. Like, it's okay if your kids aren't going to bed at 8 o'clock. It's okay if they're, staying up later and waking up later in the day. But with school starting back, we're going to have different kind of schedules again. So just trying to transition back into that of, okay, things are changing. And I think just having the conversation with your kids of, hey, this is about to be happening. This is what we need to start working on. And like gradually work up into, finding what works for you. I think is the most important thing.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. So from what you said, Caroline, about having something to look forward to in their routines, for the ones who are continuing in this virtual setting, how do y'all advise caregivers to facilitate that social interaction? Because these kids are used to being around others, and especially when school starts back, when there's a lot of excitement, and having friends to do things in person with.
I think for many of them, they had been developing some kind of friendship at school. You have the connection. We're about to start our virtual classes again, so you're going to have some form of email, or many of them are likely going to be doing Zoom or in some form. And so, like, getting online and talking with friends that way, having monitored social interaction, but definitely emphasis on that monitored.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that might look to like reaching out to other parents and setting up like even virtual play dates. I think we're all adjusting to just doing things a little differently than how we might have used to, and part of that is just adjusting to tech being a source of connection for kids right now. I think technology can get a bad rep, but it's been a real, I think it's been a real gift during this time. Otherwise, a lot of these kids wouldn't have been able to keep up with a lot of their friends. So allowing kids to have some time on their devices to connect with others, or I mean, if parents are comfortable doing, some controlled, even face to face, like doing that safely every once in a while, just making sure that there's some outlet for interaction with peers.
Sure, yeah, that's a great point. And I think we, even us as adults, have utilized technology so much, and I know I have, and fortunately to keep our minds straight, and to have that connection with the family members and friends that we aren't able to see in person. So on to another question. What are some red flags that y'all saw maybe before the summer, or even that parents communicated with y'all, that their child isn't succeeding the way that maybe they're used to, or focusing enough?
Kind of starting off in a negative way. For myself, I saw a lot of, like we've talked about, the problems with sleep and appetite. So that's one of the first questions I always ask about, is sleep and appetite. But then going past that, excessive crying or increased anger or frustration, and even those, like, we all have activities and hobbies and things that we enjoy. So if you notice that they're no longer enjoying those things, or if they're having a problem, like, that's a big red flag.
Withdrawal. Yeah, like not even wanting to engage in things that they previously wanted to, wanting to stay in their room or in their bed all day. I mean, as kids get older, there's a natural level of I want more privacy, I want more time for myself, but there needs to be some time for connection, even just within your family. And if they're really withdrawn even from that interaction, I'd say that's a pretty big red flag.
Kind of like daily wellness check-ins from the guardians to their kids, to make sure, since maybe they are withdrawing or they're not having that interest that they used to, because it can be hard if someone isn't there all day to kind of notice those things.
Kind of what you're maybe saying is, like, we've had to find ways to entertain ourselves in different ways, because we're not able to go out and do what we've always been doing. We're not having that interaction from school. So the family bonding time is really important right now. I mean, between siblings, or if you have close neighbors that you've been around this entire time, whatever it is, finding people that you can connect with, and just forming some kind of interaction that can be positive to help you deal with those, big emotions.
So maybe that is another just important piece of just making sure that they're okay.
And that can even look like say that's part of a nighttime routine or part of a morning routine, incorporating, hey, I'm going to tell you like a little bit about the worst moment in my day and then the best moment in my day. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about how that made me feel. And I want you to share maybe the worst moment in your day and the best moment in your day too. So a little bit of sharing on both sides. Now, I mean, if your kid isn't as interested in what you have to share, that's a pretty normal kid thing, but it does get them thinking, okay, mom has emotions, dad has emotions, or whatever caregiver, they have emotions too, and it's okay if we talk about these things and share them. It kind of normalizes sharing emotions, for them to hear that from you, and then for you to be interested in what they have to say. Says, you're safe to share this here with me. You can tell me about how you feel. Well, I think too, this just made me think of it, another kind of trend that we've seen is increased conflict within families, between like siblings, between parents and kids, where the interactions are just maybe a little bit more on edge. And I think, a byproduct of too much closeness and togetherness can be that natural tension that arises. So, making sure to incorporate, like, when there is a lot of tension and stuff, that maybe we're spending too much time doing the schoolwork. I'm having to force you to do your schoolwork. I'm having to get on you and monitor you on that. So incorporating some time that you can just not worry about the rules for a little bit, and like let each other both just do something fun together. To kind of balance that positive to negative ratio.
I love that. For that to be a part of their routine, just kind of saying that, okay, that's enough real world today. Like, we're gonna focus on right now. We're gonna focus on having fun and just enjoying each other's company. So for those parents and guardians who do have students going back face to face, like for example, Coleman is going back in person next week. So for the kids who are a little bit more anxious just about being around people again, what advice would you tell those parents to share with their children?
Following back up with like Caroline talking about, at night having that conversation, we've really got to open positive communication and really just saying, like, it's okay to feel the way you feel, but we need to talk about it. So talk to your teachers, find a trusted adult at school, talk to parents at home. It's okay that you're feeling this way, and really just pushing that validation that it's okay the way you're feeling.
Yeah. So like it makes sense that kids feel anxious. I think a lot of times when parents see their kids have big emotions, it can trigger stuff in the parent, like, oh no, my kid is not feeling okay, I gotta fix this. So taking a moment to check in with yourself and notice that, their fear triggers something in you. But then just like telling them, like Taylor said, it makes sense to feel afraid going back to school. It makes a little bit of sense. A normal school year starting back, you'd already feel a little bit of anxiety on the first day of school. And you add into that a global pandemic, and it heightens all of it. So it makes sense for kids' emotions to be a little bit more extreme right now, and really letting them know that and feel that you think it's okay that they feel the way that they do. And then I think we both got some tips for kind of talking through the precautionary measures you can take. I mean, just kind of ensuring your kid, we're taking all the steps to keep you safe. We care about your safety, and we're gonna practice and make sure you really know what to do to keep yourself safe and healthy during this time. Like, just prepping them on, this is how we properly wash our hands. There's a lot of YouTube videos that make it fun, like where you can go through and practice hand washing together. This is why we wear the mask. Just really stepping through with them, like why we do each of the things, and explaining how to make sure they're protecting themselves and protecting others. And that really, can give them a sense of, okay, I'm taking all the steps I need to stay safe.
And I think another thing, we have really been pushed, I know, with most of our employers, and then schools have stated, like, we need to do regular, like, health checks, so checking your temperature, things like that. But outside of that, kind of going back to what we talked about earlier, we need to provide regular, like, feelings and emotion check-ins. So, like, hey, we've done our health check for the day, like, how are you feeling today, like, emotionally, like, what's going on, and then kind of talk about and just really, like, kind of process through those emotions and feelings, because, we feel more than just mad, sad, glad. And so, and we can feel all of those things at once too.
Yeah, I love that, and I think that's really important for kids to learn at a younger age, because I think even as adults, like you said, there's just like the very basic emotions, but things can go so much deeper than that, and to really get to the root of that problem is going to be the solution to how you actually do process through that.
And I would also suggest too, just monitoring what your kids are watching on the news, making sure if they see something that scares them on the news that they that y'all at least talk about it, or that they have the context to understand it. Because I think sometimes that, if it can affect adults in extreme levels, then kids who don't have as much understanding or context for media and how it works might not understand, and can internalize some of that fear too. So just, yeah, that's a big part of it too.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for those tips. So y'all are both school-based therapists, so you're the experts on this program. So I think it would be great if you could just give like a brief overview on that program, and then kind of how to register, or how to start receiving services for kids.
So just a general overview. So we typically in the school setting would go and pull kids from their classrooms, and we'd see them for maybe 30 minutes to an hour. And that might be on a weekly, bi-weekly, maybe even like every 3 weeks or monthly basis, depending on the child's needs and the level of like the dosage of care needed. So that of course looks a little different during this time too. In the traditional setting, like I said, they'd be coming to our office. But with telehealth, I think we have some added advantage of we don't have to do that. We can kind of access you as long as you have, some kind of means to connect, whether that's over the phone, whether that's, a secure video conferencing platform of some sort. So that's a lot of what we're going to be doing this year, and we'll still have some face-to-face, but of course using precautionary measures and making sure that we're social distancing, wearing masks and sanitizing things. So that's going to look a little bit different, but we really have added bonus of getting to kind of coordinate with the schools. That's part of why school-based therapy is such a great accessible service for kids. Like if parents aren't able to bring their kids into a typical office setting, we could access the kids directly in the school. We could communicate with teachers, with confidentiality considered and all of those measures considered. But it was just it's a good coordination of care services.
I think the great thing with school-based services is that, you always hear it takes a village. And so we have access, with our releases to speak to parents. We have access to collaborate with teachers and, other resources that are in the school to best help. We don't get to see everything. We see the kids for 30 minutes to an hour, like Caroline said, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. We don't know everything that goes on outside of that office all the time. And so being able to collaborate and get that information, and, right now, especially with teletherapy, it's been nice to have a little bit more parent involvement. So we're, getting directly to work with them. And so I feel like sometimes I'm doing a little bit more family work, and, helping the parents realize, okay, if you see that they're angry right now, like, what really is the emotion that's underneath this anger? Like, it could be like the anxiety that we were talking about earlier. And we are in County and Huntsville City Schools here, and then I know Coleman also has services as well. So for us, you can contact your school directly and communicate with them, and they can do a referral, or you can call our main Nova Center office and they can get you set up with a referral, and then they will get you connected with somebody that's at that school.
And the therapist calls and sets up the initial appointment, or at least that's typically how I've done it. There's just some registration info that's required, and depending on your school, it might look a little bit different, just the process.
But we all also through elementary to high school. So we see kids, I know some schools have pre-K, so 3, 4 up to 18, 19 whenever they graduate high school. So anyone can receive services, at those schools.
And we treat like a wide variety too of mental disorders. So we treat ADHD, we treat depressive symptoms, we treat anxious symptoms. We can work again, like with the family. If there's a problem present in the family, we can work at that level. So we really see a wide variety of issues, and really kind of tailor treatment to what each kid's needs are.
Yeah, well, y'all just did a great job explaining that. I feel like I just like learned everything all over again. I think that's going to be something a lot of people appreciate, just instead of reading about something, to hear y'all actually talk about it. And this program is one of my favorites at WellStone, because it is so just it's so involved, and there's so many different aspects of it that are so helpful to the kids and families of our community. So is there anything else that you think would be beneficial to let parents know as this new fall semester begins?
I really just want to encourage parents to take care of themselves first and foremost. I think such a pitfall that we can fall into is just, worrying about our kids and how our kids are doing, and not stopping to take a check-in of your own mental health and your own wellness. And that's also like, I know that's also a big ask at times too, because it's like, okay, when will I do this? But you are the leader of your children, and they'll follow your lead. And if you are taking steps to take care of yourself and say, I've got to secure my own oxygen mask before I can secure yours, I love that metaphor for it. It really models for them that it's okay to take care of yourself, and that it's okay to struggle with these things too. So really just, take some steps to take care of yourself. Don't worry about being perfect. This is not gonna go perfectly. It's not, it never does in a normal situation. And again, add in a global pandemic. So things are gonna happen. There's gonna be bumps. And just to take these things in stride.
Self-care, I mean, that's been something that has really been pushed, I feel like, in society and media in general in the last few years. So find what works for you, find coping skills, things that help you calm down, hobbies, things like that. What works best for you, again, is really important. And like Caroline said, you don't have to be perfect. We're all learning and working through this together, and, do what you can do. And
Yeah, that's so helpful and relatable right now. So that is all the questions that I have. So if anyone has any other questions, then they can comment those, and we can make sure to get back with you. But Taylor and Caroline, thank you so much for taking the time again, and we will talk to y'all on the next episode.
Thanks. All right, thank you.